welcome to Business Insight this beautiful Tuesday morning, and it is the second day of the year. Yes, the year 2024 has kick-started, and I'm sure that your business is also done same. I'm Adesua Iromosele, and today we will be discussing something that is very paramount to Nigerians at the moment. That's talking about the budget. Yes, the 2024 budget, and we would be giving an overview of the budget today. And as you must know, President Bola Tinubu, yesterday being the first day of the year, signed into law the 28.78 trillion naira budget for the 2024 fiscal year. And you should also note that the initial proposed budget, to the National Assembly some weeks back was at 27.5 trillion naira. So there has been an increase of about 1.2 trillion naira, added to the new budget. And this is what we would be discussing today. And we have our guest is Julius Afolabi, and he is a seasoned premium business coach. All right, so we will be going on a quick break. When we return, we would be launching in our guest, to discuss this topic, on a very deep level. Stay with us, please. We'll be back.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godi Odidi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Sook News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Sook News.
So I'm happy that Sook TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Sook News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Sook News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Sook News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Zook News.
Keep watching Sook News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
The National Theatre, Igomu, built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, FESTAC, in 1977. The theatre holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland. The National Theatre is packed with the artworks of legendary contemporary Nigerian artists, stained glass walls by Yusuf Grillo, sculptures and murals by Lamidi Fakeye, Erabo Emopai, and many others. It was put to full use for a month as one of the 4 venues of the Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, tagged FESTAC 77. The complex hosted 16,000 participants from 56 African countries and the diaspora in an unprecedented showcase of African music, fine art, literature, drama, dance, and religion. The National Art Theatre was built and designed by Techno Experts Troll, a Bulgarian company mirroring the Palace of Culture and Sports in Varna, Bulgaria. Completed in 1976, the building is one of the largest and most beautiful of its kind on the African continent. It consists of a central hall with 5,000 seats, a collapsible stage that can be quickly rebuilt, a conference hall with 1,600 seats, 2 large exhibition halls, and 2 cinemas with 800 seats each. The theatre complex has a dressing room for artists, a garage, offices, coffee bars, and a buffet. It has indoor TV and radio systems, as well as booths with facilities for simultaneous translation of languages and hectares of large green lawn around. The majestic structure sits in Igomu like a quiet mountain, mesmerizing visitors and passers-by. The National Theatre, Suk Enlightenment.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight, and we are analyzing the budget of 2024 as as proposed or as given by the federal government, and through the National Assembly. So, and of course, the signing of the budget, just basically, had the president reiterating the fact that he is committed to the educational sector as well as the health and also road infrastructure. And he also, emphasized the fact that he would be carrying ordinary people, along, through this budget. And also, we have 100 billion naira, which has been earmarked for feeding of school children. Yes, 100 billion naira for the feeding of school children. That's also in the budget. And now the budget is, according to the president, is as good as its implementation. And that's where the crux of the matter is. How would this budget be implemented effectively, in a manner that is accountable and transparent to Nigerians? And it also says it would, separate economic planning from finance, to just better enhance the implementation of this budget, more effectively. So this is what we'll be discussing. Our guest is still not available, but we'll go on a short break. When we return, hopefully he is available to speak to us on this topic. Stay with us, please.
Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Marcy Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square, Suk Enlightenment.
My name is Dr. Ajili Tobi.
My name is Etemari Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to Suk News.
Shout out to Suk News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Suk News.
Shout out to Suk News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Suk News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Suk News.
Keep watching Suk News.
Keep watching Suk News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Suk News for your news requirements.
My name is Dr. Afiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Sook News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Sook News.
So I'm happy that Sook TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Sook News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Sook News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Sook News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Sook News.
Keep watching Sook News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to Sook News.
Shout out to Sook News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Sook News.
Shout out to Sook News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Sook News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Sook News.
Keep watching Sook News.
Keep watching Sook News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Sook News for your news requirements.
Oh yes, welcome back. We're still, trying to go over the 2024 budget, by way of analysis. And if you don't know, I would like to just, give you a rundown of what this budget is about. Now, the 2024 budget is a financial plan that basically outlines the government's revenue and expenditure for the year. It sets out the priorities and allocations for different sectors and areas of development in the country. Now, the key highlights of the 2024 budget includes a focus on infrastructure development, social welfare, and economic growth. Now, the government aims to invest in critical sectors such as transportation, power, education, healthcare, and agriculture. Now, this is to improve the overall infrastructure and create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive here in Nigeria. Now, in terms of revenue, the government plans to generate income through various sources such as taxes, oil revenue, and other non-oil sources. Now, the budget also emphasizes the need for fiscal discipline and transparency in managing public funds. The 2024 budget aims to address the economic challenges faced by Nigerians and promote sustainable growth. It seeks to attract foreign investment, boost entrepreneurship, and create job opportunities for Nigerian people. And the overall, basically, the 2024 budget in Nigeria is designed to drive economic development, improve infrastructure, and enhance the well-being of citizens. And it sets out the government's priorities and strategies for the year with the aim of achieving long-term economic prosperity. Now, this is basically the overview of what the budget is about, in case you didn't get to watch it. And the government is set to, ensure that this budget meets the need of its 8-point agenda. Yes, the 8-point agenda in Nigeria, and this is basically what this budget is going to be doing, and this is what we'll be discussing. How would this budget actually, help or how far can the budget go in ensuring that Nigerians, have a better life? And how can we manage these budgets in such a manner that we won't have to borrow? Talking about budget deficit, we won't have to borrow to actually meet the needs, meets the needs basically of Nigerians. So we'll be going on another break. When we return, hopefully our guest is on ground to discuss this topic with us. Stay with us.
My name is Olatunji Shoti Miri. I'm a performing artist and, television radio presenter and a university lecturer, UNILAG. Keep watching Sook News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Sook News. If you're not watching Sook News, I pity you, but keep watching Sook News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timmy Dakolo, and you're watching Sook News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Sook News. Guys, keep watching Sook News. For everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news, Sook News is your station.
Welcome back. We do apologize for that break-in transmission. Now we're still discussing the overview of the 2024 budget, and we have joining us virtually Julius Afolabi is a seasoned premium business coach. Good morning to you, Julius. All right, and compliments of the season to you. Happy New Year. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, Julius. Can you hear me, please? Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, but because we can hear you here in the studio, but I'll just go ahead with my question anyway. Now, what's your take on the budget, this new budget, you know, increasing it from 28.78 trillion naira to, increasing it from 27.5 trillion naira now to 28.78 trillion naira. That's like 1.2 trillion naira increase. What do you think about it? And because of course we've been able to garner from the Senate that this increase is attributed to insecurity issues as well as the school feeding program, you know, which accounts for 100 billion naira. What's your take? What's your take on all of this?
Well, the increase is not a surprise to me, basically because of the high cost of living and cost of commodity right now, which is attributable to the inflation rate. But then tying it to insecurity and then the feeding money, which is might be necessary, but then again we can say it is a bit outrageous. Yes, for me, that's the way I see it. Why the feeding is necessary and it's basic. We're looking at what are the effects and who necessarily gets the benefits. The intention is for the grassroots and to alleviate the well-being and suffering of the masses. But then I also think that apart from increasing the budget, let's increase the impact and who it reaches. Apart from for the insecurity issues, the budget, I don't think there's need for any increase as far as insecurity is concerned, because all the budgets, the erstwhile budgets on insecurity, we have not really seen a fruitful effect on quenching insecurity, even though we have seen a little of it, but it is migrating in another dimension again. So increasing it, I hope that there will be more effect on taking that particular that dimension. That's my take on that increase.
Okay. Now we also know that part of this this budget would be generated from borrowing. Now borrowing is said to be inevitable. You know, every administration, every government, every clime, you know, borrows. But wouldn't that be sad if this amount is borrowed and then, you know, we get to hear that corruption, you know, by way of embezzlement, you know, gets to take a larger fraction? What can the government do to ensure transparency and accountability in the implementation of this budget?
Well, like it's known, debt is not a totally bad idea, but we talk about good debt, right? Not bad debt. All of the while we have experienced bad debt, and you can see it's reflected in the budget, how much goes to our debt servicing. It's not about taking the debt, but what is the returns on what the debt is for? You must be able to ascertain that the benefits that you're going to derive from undertaking a particular debt is going to cover both the interest on the debt and is going to also satisfy the benefits for which the debt is taken. Now, what are the things that government can do in terms of what? The debt. Now, borrowing, if you know that you are borrowing, exceptional accountability and integrity of process of implementation is absolutely inevitable. If government is going to ensure, if they're going to take this money and it's going to be off borrowing, which must be serviced, because debt servicing is like spending your future today, spending tomorrow today. That's what debt is like, right? So if we're acquiring debt for the interest of preparing or securing tomorrow, then there should be proper accountability in that direction, ensuring that the purpose for which the debt is taken is what it is used for, right? If the purpose for which the debt is used for are not achieved or are not effectively achieved, then the reason for debt is totally what? Defeated. So debt is not inevitable, right? But it should be good debt. Good debts always meet the need. They focus on what the debt is meant for, and they are able to cover the interest on the debt. Even if it is interest-free, you must ensure that the benefit that you intend to get on the debt will cover for what the debt charges are going to be or what the debt inconvenience is going to be. Because somebody is giving you an opportunity. A wise man said, you don't pay for the drunkard who is still at the bar, right? You don't pay the debts of the drunkard who is still at the bar. He's still drinking. So if we don't change our methodology in appropriating the debts, the borrowed funds, then increasing our debt will not do us any good, right? Because it will definitely have effect on the value of the naira, right? For as long as we continue having a high percentage of our money for servicing debt, it reduces the amount of money that we have in order to be able to fund some other projects that may increase business opportunities and investment opportunities. So if you're thinking, if we are borrowing, if government is borrowing, the process of appropriation should become more effective than normal, right? So there should be assessments, piecemeal assessment of implementation, and there should be feedback on how this all these debts are being used, the funds are being used. So when we have, timely review of the implementation of this budget, it increases the confidence that what the purpose for which the money is borrowed is being utilized for what it is meant to be used. So when people begin to see this, they have confidence that the borrowing was not in vain. But if we are not seeing the effects of the borrowing, it's still the same old cycle, then we lose confidence in the borrowing and we keep screaming that what we are borrowing, but we are not seeing the effect of the borrowing. Borrowing is not bad, but if the process of implementing or appropriating debt does not change, then borrowing will become criminal, and it will affect the welfare and the well-being of the nation and its economy.
All right, thank you very much, Julius. Now, still on debt servicing. Now, in the budget, we have 8.2 trillion naira to be used for this purpose, and the president has said that this deficit, will not be as much as, is not as much as what has been, paid back in time past, in that we would be borrowing less this time around and not having to, go the other way. But my question is this: how do we close this this deficit gap? How do we ensure that that the government looks inwards, talking about internally generated revenue, instead of having to constantly borrow?
Now, this is the truth. The story of Nigeria is like the story of the acres of diamond, the acre of diamond, if you know about that story very well. Nigeria is resourcefully blessed that if we would put our heads together, the expertise, the human resource component of Nigeria and the mineral resource component of Nigeria, if these two can be synergetically put together and harnessed, we would not have to borrow. Our problem is that we are not processing what we have. We are doing more of importation, which is not giving us the leverage to be able to explore what we have and what generates money internally. IGR, internally generated revenue, can be also tailored to internally generated resource. So for as long as our import figures continue to rise and we are import dependent, debt cannot be totally taken away from us. That's the sincere truth. So looking inwards, while Mr. President has also mentioned that the issue of tax will be much more organized, if the tax regime becomes fair, that both the rich and the poor fairly pay what is due, right? And the process, the integrity of the process is being put together, then we can say that what our internally generated revenue, if you look at it in Nigeria, you find out that the cost of even, the cost of tax administration is higher than the tax that is received. So you see, there's already deficit on that particular part, right? Now, looking at internally generated revenue, we have to look at what what we generate internally by the domestic economy. What's happening in our domestic economy? Thankfully, the president in this particular budget is also allocating a large chunk of interest in energy. Energy is one inevitable resource that Nigerians need to process the resources that they have into finished goods that will be locally compatible and globally competitive. It is not that we don't have the intellectual property to be able to convert all our resources, human and mineral resources, into processed and finished goods. This is the reason why the most attracted brains all over the world is from Nigeria. So that's to tell us that we have the intellectual capacity to be able to process our mineral resource into finished goods that are locally compatible and globally competitive. We are supposed to be expert giants, not import dependent. So if we get the energy appropriation right by the coming in of the investment and the partnership with Siemens from Germany, I look forward to having, if we have this energy cleared. And then if you look at the our main source of revenue, which is oil itself. Now look at it internally. You'll find out that cost of living in Nigeria living in Nigeria is luxurious, right? Living is a luxury in Nigeria. And that's a function of what the capital resource that we require in order to be able to have a balanced economy, a robust domestic economy that is not import dependent, but can process from extraction to finish. If we enter into that gap, like you mentioned, what will be the stopgap? The stopgap is to go fully into processing our raw materials. We have the expertise. We might undergo partnership, not totally dependent on oil, because the oil is volatile, right? The oil revenue is volatile. And also, all the bureaucracies and the integrity of the process within the oil sector. We have seen a lot of abuse in the oil sector. And right now, with the removal of oil subsidy, which we look forward to having giving us a peaceful balance in the oil sector, and with the refineries, right? The Dangote refinery and the Port Harcourt refinery coming up can also give us a lease of hope, right? So when we have the tax administration properly organized and formatted, and we have our processing in our real sector, our domestic economy, the business environment becomes much more conducive, and the infrastructural facilities become available by the political will and the integrity of leadership in implementation of the promise from the presidency. Then I think that we will be able to internally generate, there will be more, the economy will be much more attractive, both to foreign investment and the confidence, the local confidence and convenience of doing business in Nigeria will expand the business system. I'm talking from the business sector now, because that's where I operate a lot. So you see, so energy itself is a core resource for the domestic economy to become much more robust and viral. So if the government is able to organize the tax reform are organized in the sense that the tax itself is not a deficit, in terms of its IGR, right? That's to say tax administration is much more expensive than the tax received, right? Until there's an organization in that order in that direction, order and integrity in that direction, we can't get that right. So we can, and until people are productive, they can't pay tax. If people are not productive, they cannot pay tax. So, and if the energy is not there, like I said, energy is principally important. It increases the cost of production within the industries, which translates to commodity cost, increase in commodity cost, and it will also translate to what? Living standard. The cost of what? Living will increase, and living standard will also be affected. And whether you like it or yes, then inflation will equally grow. Already the inflation is as bad as it is. So you see, so there's the need for our investments to be strategic and properly focused on the areas that will boost the economy, so that we can have locally compatible finished goods and globally competitive goods, so that we can have we have exports at the same time, we have comfort and convenient buying experience within the Nigerian space. So if we are able to fix the infrastructural demand that will support business within our local enclave, and we increase our processing capital. Processing is very important. Imagine that we let Dangote have crude oil, process it, pay in Naira, what effect it will have on what we have to pay if we are importing. Let's get the refineries working, right? If we get them working, it might not absolutely bring back the price of petroleum to what it was, but it will reduce it. And when that comes down, it will increase the confidence to trade within the Nigerian ecosystem. And when that begins to happen, you'll find out that our products will begin to have what? Foreign attention. We'll begin to generate foreign attention. And then we can now have what? Foreign investment. What will happen to the value of the Naira? It will shoot up. So there's confidence for the citizen in doing business, is convenient and is confident, and then it becomes attractive to foreign investors. That way, we'll find out that we have a robust economy, and then we'll not have to borrow. And if we have to borrow, we can comfortably service our debt without stress or strain.
Very well, Julius, thank you very much for that one. We'll go on a quick break now and return to continue this conversation. Stay with us, please.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Sook News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Sook News.
So I'm happy that Sook TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Sook News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Sook News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Sook News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Sook News.
Keep watching Sook News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Sook News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Sook News.
Shout out to Sook News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Sook News. Here's the Sook News, who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Sook News. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight, and we're analyzing the 2024 budget. Okay, Julius, hope you're still with us, please. All right.
Yes, I am.
All right. Some people are of the opinion that the increase in the budget, as you know, was born from some level of, you know, I don't know, corruption, so to speak, for the lack of a better word, you know, and what's your take on that, basically? You know, I mean, because people are wondering, how does the Senate just wake up and say, okay, this budget is not going to be sufficient for all of this, we are adding 1.2 trillion naira to it, you know? What's your take on it? Do you agree with what these people are saying, or do you have a different school of thought?
You know, the legislative is powerful, right? Our constitution has allocated a lot of power to the legislative. Can you hear me? Are you with me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
So the constitution has allocated a lot of power to the legislator, such that it has the power to be able to determine what would happen and what shouldn't happen. Well, while that is absolutely not out of place, it must be tailored in the direction that is in public interest. Now, for want of words, the public opinion might be right due to what the former antecedents, right? If a couple of experts have put together a particular document, which is not out of place or not without their consent in the first place. So why should there be an emergency before, right? Emergency before all of a sudden. So that could sponsor a lot of what thoughts in that direction. Now, take it or you leave it. We know that corruption is endemic in Nigeria, right? Since the advent of democracy in Nigeria, we have seen quite a number of things that have happened. A lot of things have happened and people have gone away with it. So what do you think the public is left with? And that's why I said it is not about preparing the budgets, right? We can have fantastic, Nigerians are very good at paperwork. It is the implementation that is we are weak at. And that's the reason why the public opinion is always about the political will. We are always skeptical about the political will to be able to bring to pass, to make whatever it is that we put on paper an experience for the citizens. And those are the claims. Those are the claims that Mr. President has given unto us, as in the confidence of his speech, right? Allocating and identifying the basic sectors that need to be given attention to, which we appreciate. But we are looking forward to the practical experience of these promises, right? That is what will help us differentiate whether the increase is as a result of corruption or not. Very well, they may look at the budget. The legislator can look at the budget. All this while, the legislators have not suffered any form of what? Reduction in their emoluments or their compensation plan. No. But the citizens, both at the public level and at the private sector, have suffered a lot of what? Backlash in form of what? Reduction in their compensation. In the public sector, in the private sector, for instance, now, there have been a lot of salary what? Cuts due to what? The economic realities, right? And there has been a lot, since the petroleum pump price increase, we have seen some compensation, but the compensation cannot match what the economic reality, the inflation rate is. Let's take, for instance, a secondary school teacher who earns probably less than 100 naira and has 2 kids, and the children's school fees, you understand, has been increased, but his salary has not increased. What do you think his opinion will be if they pad the budget? Of course, he will say it's corruption because it is not directly affecting him, right? If you go to road transport, right, these are basic things. If you go to transportation, now the airlines don't go by road. It is the average ordinary citizens that go by road. Products can move from areas of extraction to areas of commercialization. What happens in that gap? So they can go by flight. They don't suffer what we suffer. Do you understand? So definitely, if they are the ones that are taking the lead in increasing the budget, they shouldn't be the one asking for it, right? They shouldn't be the one asking for it. And that's why the public opinion will pass. Because somebody that is comfortable should not be the one asking for the budget expansion, right? Rather, it should be looking at how it's going to make sacrifice to be able to cover for the expansion he's asking for. Imagine that the cost of governance is reduced to contain that particular increase that they brought. What will happen? Nigerians will feel happy and think that the legislative are becoming much more responsible than they used to be. So rather than asking for an expansion or asking for the increase, why can't they cut down their own the cost of what? Compensation or cost of governance to be able to do that? Leadership is sacrificed, but we don't see that in the Nigerian leadership. That's the reason why the public opinion will pass for corruption. What exactly is corruption? Denying the person that deserves to have what he has when you already have enough. So that's exactly how it is. So you can see it in practical terms. You would say that what? It is unnecessary if it is coming from the legislative because they are already comfortable. So you see it. So, and again, another person will say that if they are offering us, if they are deciding to give us a better life, then we should pay for what they are giving us. So what is the essence of service leadership? So anybody that is in the legislature or in all the arms of government, judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, it's service, and it should be servant leadership. So we expect them to take the lead while we follow. But if they are the ones asking for an expansion, even in their comfort, when other people, the citizens, are giving more sacrifice than the leaders, then what do you expect? The public opinion is going to be right. That's my take on it.
That's quite interesting. But now let's look at yesterday's New Year's goodwill message to Nigerians by the president. Yesterday, the very first day of the year, and of course, he stated that all actions and decisions taken by the administration of this present government, has been in the best interest of Nigerians. Do you think the president really addressed, issues bugging Nigerians, in that goodwill message? And he also stated the fact that he is he's keen on issues that concern education, health, and road infrastructure. Now, it's given 100 billion, allocating 100 billion naira, to school children for feeding. What do you think about that? Do you think that is the right step in the right direction, or should this monies, be used for, better infrastructure instead of, having it given to children to just eat? And eating, it's not even going round. There are so many schools that that won't still benefit from this amount for feeding. So isn't it better to just look at other sectors where this money can go into that would benefit the general public? What's your thought?
Yeah, thank you very much. You did nearly 50% of the job by mentioning the critical aspects of its distribution. Now, you see, budget is allocating what is available to you and what is accessible to you in order to meet a desired outcome. Now, looking at the goodwill, I would commend the president for his timely communication with Nigeria. Now, that is not a normal behavior in the recent past or in past leadership. We have to ask to be communicated to before we are spoken to. Now, I have to commend the president on that note, coming out to always have to communicate. Now, that is not enough. Now, that's not enough. We expect more. In the last over 100 days, close to 100 days in office, we have seen practically a lot. Nigerians have gone through, let me say, a first trimester of what to expect. Now, we see what happened in the technical devaluation of the Naira when it came to, during the Naira policy. The thing we must understand about governance and leadership is that policy is powerful. Policy determines the culture of a people, right? It determines, and culture is what leaders permit, is what leadership permits, right? So the culture of communication is good, but we have to do more in terms of implementation. You understand? Now, the president has done well by identifying the critical and basic elements that constitute the survival mode of Nigerians, which has to do with security, education, health, agriculture. You will notice that the budget allocation increase were in tandem with that direction, right? So we can see paper presentation of this, but we need to see the reality of this. What are they going to be used for? And what is the integrity of the process? There is a way in which you spending so much will not make any difference if there is no organization and process of distribution. And that's the same thing you mentioned when you talked about the 100 billion. Now, 100 billion will not go around, has not been going around. In the first term where that particular exercise was carried out, we will see the distribution lapses, right? It cannot get to every school. It will not get to every child. What is the yardstick? Even if you're using social register, if you're using the social register, what is the distribution formula? What is the integrity of that particular process? For me, I think that is a huge sum of money that can be rechanneled into other areas that will not necessarily, you see, bailout never bails anybody out. For as long as somebody has a begging bowl, he remains entitled, right? Now, this will, whether you like it or not, psychologically, will create a sense of irresponsibility on the part of what probably parents or anything. You are not alleviating suffering. You are rather feeding the irresponsibility of what? The obligation of parents, right? That's the way I look at it. Now, but if the parents are taken care of in the way they ought to, that responsibility will not be on the government. If you want to take care of the citizen, give them what they need in order to be able to create a responsible life for themselves. That is my sincere opinion on that. I don't think that allocation is necessary. It can be rechanneled back into other areas. Like, for instance, imagine distributing that particular 100 billion into the agricultural sector and probably educational sector and health. If I know that I can get to the hospital and I can get treatment, the medications are there for me, right? In my local village, the primary health care centers, you go to some primary health care centers, you will find out that it is just a building without any form of what service delivery in some areas. Now, you go to some schools, even public schools, go to their lab. Education is not attractive to our young generation. You see the middle class, there's no middle class. We can recreate the middle class. These are funds that can be put into other channels. Let's take, for instance, you take that 100 billion and you decide to create an enterprise development center that takes care of just NYSC, right? Rather than them going back to the school, which they don't want to, put them into what? A reproductive economy, where they can practice what they have learned in school and prepare them for the world of what the marketplace and the business world. So that after that 1 year, it's like an internship, right? A retraining, a repackaging for the world they're about to enter into. After that particular program, what happens? Some of them will not need to look for jobs. So the underemployment and unemployment that the president is keen about is going to drop. High rate of dependency. You find now I have a retired public servant in my area, close to my area. The man is retired and he has 2 graduates from his home who are unemployed. So there are 3 unemployed people in a particular household. So you see, so you can see that kind of experience. They have gone through NYSC and they're back, they don't have a job. Yes, there's the personal responsibility of everybody. Now, the government cannot do everything for you, right? Leaving everything to the government is a sense of irresponsibility. But then there is also the obligation of government to create a conducive environment where citizens have no excuse for being irresponsible. So you see, that's my take. So that particular money can be rechanneled into other productive and reproductive sectors that will not necessitate that we have to go to the schools and feed the children. What do they feed them with? Can you get a sample of what exactly is given to the children? What exactly is the nutritional value of what is given to the children, right? So we can have a paper made, but what is the reality? What is the impact assessment? Do we have an impact assessment report on the last amount of money that was separated for that? Which family has come out to say that this is it, that we have enjoyed because of the feeding? The health of my child has increased. It has reduced the amount of money I spend on them. Well, no matter what you give to that child in school, the child, when he gets back home, is still going to have to eat something. Is it what the child wants? All the children cannot want the same thing. Are we together? So there are a lot of factors involved in that. In order to be able to avoid that and to maximally utilize limited resources and borrowed funds for that matter, let's put borrowed funds into reproductive economy, into an active economy that will engage what we already have to manufacture what we need.
All right. Thank you so very much, Julius Afolabi, for your time on Business Insight today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's such a pleasure to share my thoughts in this direction.
Indeed, indeed. It was a pleasure to learn from you.
And a better experience.
All right, thank you very much. And that has been Julius Afolabi. He is a seasoned premium business coach. And on that note, we draw the curtain on Business Insight today. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Business Insight. I'm Adesua Iramosele. Have a good day.